am Anna Seewolf, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about personal development in the context of parenting, where I explore how you can find more calm, connection, and joy in parenting through the process of self-discovery and inner growth with a trauma-informed lens. Today's episode is an on-air coaching call. I help Patrick, a father of a 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old daughter, to find some new ways of managing his daily stress, becoming more patient, creating time for himself and for his relationship, while being a full-time employee working from 9 to 5, coordinating everything on a daily basis, commuting, He's already doing a lot of great things. He has established a morning routine for himself. He is doing meditation, visualizations, and exercises regularly, but he is still struggling with some things. I very much enjoy conducting the on-air coaching calls. These are one-time, unscripted sessions, and the listener and I get into them without any prep work ahead of time. So you get to be a fly on the wall and peek into someone's life. I personally enjoy the challenge and the spontaneity of those sessions. It also gives you a taste of how I work with my coaching clients. If you would like to participate in an on-air coaching call, it's easy. Simply fill out a very short application and I'll be in touch. If you would like to work with me, you can hire me, and the listeners of the podcast receive 10% off on all my coaching packages. I do work with people in person as well as remotely. You can learn more on my website at authenticparenting.com. If you are unsure or have questions, you can always schedule a 15-minute free discovery call through my website. I would be thrilled to support you with your parenting challenges. Scroll through your podcast app and check out the other coaching episodes. We have done some really good ones and covered some important topics. They are marked coaching in the beginning of the title. And now, please enjoy this on-air coaching call with Patrick, and I hope you will find it helpful. Patrick, welcome to Authentic Parenting. Thanks so much for willing to do the on-air coaching call tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, me too. You are the first dad to do the on-air coaching call. Woohoo! That's a big deal.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
Probably the first of many, right?
Yes, hopefully. Yes, hopefully many men listeners will also put themselves out there after listening to your episode. I know we have a lot of male listeners. I get email from them, but they're not as active as the female counterparts. So why don't you tell me? Yeah, you're not. You have a theory on that?
I don't know. I think guys kind of just stay to themselves more. We're not as open and honest with our emotions and stuff like that. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Probably a lot harder for a man to put his feelings out there than for most women.
Perhaps, yes. So tell me how many children you have and what are their ages?
I have 2 children. My boy is 4 years old and my daughter is 2 years old.
So you are really in the thick of it. Yes.
Yeah, terrible 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges that you are currently facing in terms of parenting your 2 little children? Or perhaps you have some personal challenges and it's not related to parenting.
I think stress is a big one with being a full-time employee, working, commuting, having the kids in daycare. That's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes along with that because you're always trying to figure out. Like me and my wife both work, we have 9 to 5 jobs, so it's hard to find somebody to watch the kids when they're sick, and just coordinating everything on a daily basis is not the easiest thing.
Mm. Yeah, that's tough with young children, just to manage the schedules, the pick up, the drop off, and going to work and not being late. And that's, yes, a lot goes into that. I completely understand. So then, besides the stress, which we can talk about, and I know you've done a lot of personal work, right? You've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
But what are some of the challenges at the moment, at least, right? Those challenges come and go. Would you like to discuss perhaps one or two?
So with creating time for like myself and for the relationship, maybe getting more
Mm,
date nights in. Also, like just doing things that I kind of like pursue. I like to go golfing. I like to play sports. So there isn't as much time for that, especially when the kids are now starting to get into sports and have them in swimming. So your weekends kind of get chopped up, and you don't have as much time to do those things that you want to do for yourself.
mm. Does your wife share the same concern? Does she also have
Yeah,
limited time for
she
herself?
she's she does. She's very busy. Her job is very mentally and challenging. She has to be on point all day, so it's a lot. But she's like she handles everything really well. Like I can't even imagine having to deal with some of the stuff she has to deal with on a daily basis. So I feel like it's more me than it is her. She handles stress and everything very well.
Mm. Yeah. Is she doing anything in particular that you can look from outside and say she is managing her stress better, or she's bouncing back perhaps a lot faster and easier from stressful situations, or perhaps like what's her secret? Or maybe she has some self-care routine or practices that help her. Do you know, like what's
I
her secret?
I honestly don't know. She's just like a different type of person. She's able to just be on top of everything very well, and she has an amazing memory, and she just gets stuff done. I honestly I'm jealous of her a lot of the time because she just knows exactly what to do and what to say in situations, and like I can't do that. I'm sitting there like stumbling for words and trying to figure stuff out, and she just I don't know.
Mm,
She's just very on point.
mm. And so, do you guys have different parenting styles?
Yes. She's a lot more patient than I am. I'm more the person that is quick to discipline. I was very quick to yell, which is something that I'm working on. Is probably one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well. Is
Mm-hmm.
working on patience. She's very good at like just handling the situation with the kids very well and sitting down and like explaining to
Mm-hmm.
them what's going on and what's happening. And my fuse after a long day is kind of a little shorter, so I'm quicker to
Mm-hmm.
yell at them and lose control of the situation. And then I obviously start feeling awful afterwards, and I'll turn to her and be like, oh, I can't believe I just yelled at him. I feel so bad. That is definitely one of the things that I struggle with more than anything.
Mm. Yeah, well, definitely stress level plays a role in how we react, right? We become more reactive and short fuse, and we fly off the handle, all those expressions. Perhaps you're a highly sensitive person. I don't know. Perhaps you are very perceptive and you commute, you work. There is a lot. And I don't know, in terms of your job, maybe you do need to decompress and distress, because then parenting is yet another full-time job and stressful, right? So
Right.
you don't have that window to offload perhaps, or you haven't figured out what's the amount of stress that is healthy for you, and when it gets a little too much, what kind of stress management tools or techniques or practices do you currently have?
Yeah, one of the biggest things I started doing was I've been doing meditation is a big
Mm-hmm.
thing for me now. Exercise, some visualization, trying to see what my future is like and who I want to be rather than continuously doing the behaviors, trying to like reflect on that. So that's one
Mm.
of the biggest things I've done is I struggle with creating a time for myself because I did figure out that at the end of the day, sometimes I felt like I just wanted to get the kids to go to bed so I could just sit down on the couch and relax and not, and like you said, just decompress, de-stress. And it's been a
Mm-hmm.
long day and I've been up, 6 o'clock with the kids. So with all the stuff that I've been reading and trying to enact was I figured out that waking up early in the morning was probably
Mm-hmm.
the best time for me to do that. But I started doing that, meditating in the morning first thing, and then doing some exercise. And I just kind of, even though it's like, not everybody loves to exercise, it's not the most fun thing, but getting those couple of things out of the way in the morning and having that, just like that quiet time to myself has really helped me at the end of the day not be as stressed out and not lose control as much.
Mm-hmm. And is it stressful for you to have those items in the morning for yourself? Is it too much, or it's manageable and it's pleasant? Like you're doing it in the flow instead of, okay, now I got to meditate. Okay, now I got to do this. Is it creating more stress? Sometimes it can create more stress.
Yeah. So initially, I've been doing this for meditation consistently for about 3 or 4 months, but for the past 3 years, I've been trying to figure out how to get control of my life. I did have 2 anxiety attacks over the past like 6 or 7 years where I ended up in the hospital. And, I thought I was having a heart attack. That's how crazy it was getting. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had to make some changes. And that's when I started diving into it. But I'm the type of person that really likes to be like almost a perfectionist. If I'm not doing it completely the way they tell me to exactly, I kind of like, oh, I'm failing and I'm not doing it right. And it took me a long time to figure out that I don't need to do that. And that's like what you were saying. It was, initially it was more stressful because I was like, all right, I have to get up at 4:30 in the
Mm.
morning. I have to meditate for 15 minutes, and I have to exercise for 30 minutes. And I was like falling behind, or like one of the kids would pee the bed or something, and it would throw off my whole routine. And then I would be like, oh no, I failed today. I can't do this anymore. And then I would stop. The biggest thing I did was I just started doing it smaller. I just, do it for 5 minutes, do this for 5 minutes. And that was a big time change. And, I'm just working my way up to the points and finding the things that work for me and, just dropping off the stuff that doesn't. And, we play back and forth what works, what doesn't, and you kind of find the groove. And I feel like I finally have found a very good groove where it is enjoyable in the morning that, I have
Mm.
that quiet time. I get the things that are, exercise. Nobody really loves exercising unless you're like a bodybuilder that's like doing it for,
Yeah.
but, I do feel a lot better afterwards and it really just sets up my day for success.
Yes, that's good. I feel like sometimes doing those things in the morning is great. It gets you definitely starting the day positively, more energetically and all that. But then the day is a long day, right? Sometimes it's
Yeah.
stressful at work. Like you said, you commute and there's traffic. I believe you take the train, right?
Yes. Yes. Take the train.
Yes, I mean it's like it's a lot, physically exhausting, psychologically, emotionally, and when you come home, you probably don't have much left, to give.
Right.
So I think like recognizing that the morning is good, but also what can you do either before leaving work or while you're commuting on the train before entering your home environment. I think bookending your day in a way that, again, you create some kind of ritual, de-stressing ritual or some practice that prepares you, for your home environment. And maybe when you come home, instead of getting into the household and helping with dinner or playing with kids, maybe
take 10 minutes to do something for yourself. Again, take a shower or just go sit in the dark room. I'm not sure, but communicate that clearly to the family members that this is good and I am going to come back. It's not like I'm rejecting you. I don't want to spend time with you. Hopefully that will help. I don't know. I want to hear what will work for you in terms of that.
It's funny that you brought that up because when we get home, it's exactly like you said. It's like any routine. You come home, you start getting dinner ready, you get the kids set up, and you eat, and it's bath time, and then it's never ending until the kids are actually in bed. So I used to try to take a nap on the train home because it was about 40 minutes, but that would just make me more tired. So I started as like a kind of like a de-stressing thing. I started just reading on the train home or listening to a podcast or watching some YouTube thing that can further some kind of knowledge or thing. And that kind of helps. That's again, commuting is stressful and it's not fun, especially when you're on a train schedule every day and you're rushing to catch the train so you don't miss it. In my case, we have to pick up the kids by 6:00, and if I don't catch my train, I'm like running to the daycare to pick them up. So that little like 40-minute train ride is also a good spot. I'm stuck on the train. I might as well do something productive rather than stress about everything else. And that's definitely helped as well. I kind of just go into my own world, read a book or listen to a podcast, and it kind of helps, further along that.
Yeah. I think something more relaxing, and maybe you dedicate let's say if it's a 40-minute train ride, you dedicate maybe the 10 minutes from the tail end of that ride to decompressing. Let's say you watch some YouTube video, you read, you consume some information. It's still burdening your brain, right? You're consuming stuff. Maybe the 10 minutes, then do a meditation, a relaxation, full body relaxation, or body scan, perhaps type of meditation, or the visualization that you're practicing. Maybe picture how how you would come home, how you would eat dinner in a more positive light, and picture that you're having fun with your kids and this joyous image.
Actually, I like that. I like that idea a lot. That makes a lot of sense. Like just kind of setting yourself up and seeing what your night is going to be like, and kind of set your mind to like that tempo, and when you get home, you can kind of like just follow along with that and try to reenact it. That's a good idea.
And you know what else? You can create, we take a lot of pictures with our cell phones, of course. You can perhaps create a little photo album in your phone of your favorite pictures of your family vacation, togetherness that it shows, and your children's beautiful faces. And maybe let's say 20 pictures or something like that. And maybe have a music with it, like a slideshow. When you come home, or the 10 minutes, you tell your brain, this is what I'm looking forward to. Children are going to be well behaved. Dinner is going to be easy. Visualize that as much as possible, because evenings are hard. We want them to go to bed, and they're giving us a hard time. They've been separated from us. Also, they've been in daycare, they're getting wild. They've been instructed the whole day. They didn't have a lot of freedom. And now they see us, they want to play with us, but we're tired of them. It can get wild. Don't have expectations of, after I put them to bed, then I can relax. Rather go with the flow, but find that groove. But I think the success would be, to set you up for success, is prepare yourself 10 minutes ahead of time, or 15 minutes, with a visualization or a body scan, a relaxation, or just breathing maybe for 5 minutes, Or you can even say a mantra to yourself, some affirmation. Whatever comes, it will be fine. If the children don't go to bed sharp at 8, that's okay. We will play together. We will have fun, something of that nature, that you're not in that go, 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 do. Oh my gosh, everything is falling apart mode.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
That's what I would say.
I really like the photo album idea, because I kind of have that with like some motivational quotes when I'm feeling a little sluggish or just need to pick me up. So I have an album of like these quotes that I could just like refer to, but I never thought of doing pictures and stuff like that. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, a few like the highlights of your family's life and your children's beautiful faces, because when we get home and we see they act badly, you forget that beautiful child that they are. But when you see that ahead of time, it's a good reminder. Maybe they're baby photos, in that moment, that it also secretes hormones, right, in us when we see cute baby pictures, especially our own children when they were little. You sort of become more compassionate, a lot gentler before entering into the household, as opposed to watching like a thriller on YouTube or some motivational talk about entrepreneurship, and you're working 9 to 5 and you feel like a failure. Why am I at 9 to 5? You know what I mean? I think end the day in a way that is more helpful for yourself.
Yeah, no, that's great. I like that a lot.
Yes. And of course, my suggestion for the stress would be, the meditation is good. Everything you're doing is fantastic. But are there any stressors? The 4 steps I always teach people. Let's identify the stressors in our life. Let's eliminate what we can, because some of the stressors we can eliminate. We can reduce some of them. And the 4th step would be to manage our daily stress. So it's basically a cycle that we want to practice, and it becomes second nature, right? When you become overwhelmed, we're not overwhelmed all the time, right? At some point, it becomes a little too much. So that's the time to pause and say, you know what? Why am I so frantic? Why do I have so many things and little time? Why am I rushing and have this anxiety and all those stress symptoms? Let's pause for a moment and identify what are the stressors in my life at the moment. Pen and paper, list all your stressors: relationship, financial, social, emotional, perhaps work related, perhaps aging parents related, daycare related, activities related. There's a lot of areas that stress comes at us. And sometimes when we don't take inventory, you're battling it inside of your head. But when you put it on a paper, it helps. And you can take a look at your list. And it could be environmental stressors as well. Noise, pollution, you're on a train, too much going on at work, you work in a city, that can affect your stress level. Allergens, certain smells, all of those things can affect the nervous system, and they burden, so to speak, and it adds to your stress container. And look at that list and say, what can I eliminate completely? Let's say, I don't need to stress about this. I can delegate this to someone else. My sister can take care of, my mom's apartment or something like that. Or you can reduce whatever you're doing, eliminate, reduce, and then you start to manage your stress on a daily basis so that it becomes a habitual practice like that. But the key is to recognize when you're crossing that threshold from going normally stressed, which is that green zone I talk about, and I'll post a visual for this episode, and then you go into the orange, and then it turns into red. Sort of you cross that threshold from being normally stressed to stressed out, and then you hit burnout eventually. But that's like too late when many people are too frantic and have the symptoms, headaches and stress symptoms. I want people to recognize before they hit that red zone, when you are in that yellowish, orangish area, dial back and go to the green zone so that you can have more energy and, you can bounce back and respond to new stressors in your life. That means saying no to commitments, perhaps, opening space in your schedule, time for relaxation, fun, novelty, date nights, right? What can you cut down that is, and I bet there are unnecessary commitments in terms of parenthood and having young kids. You don't have to go to every street fair or every show, everything that is catered for children.
Yeah, we were just at a street fair on Sunday.
Yeah. If it's not bringing you joy, if at the end you feel tired and exhausted and you just want to get rid of your kids, then it's not worth it. Trust me, your children will not know the difference. They don't have to go to all those places to feel happy and fulfilled. They need a resourceful, happy parent, right? So take a look at your schedule, at your activities on the weekends. Are you too busy? Are you doing things more for the kids than for yourself? And what can you get rid of or replace, perhaps, with something that nourishes you personally?
Yeah, I feel like the hardest thing about that is it's like you said, you get to that red area and
Mm-hmm.
you're just there and it's kind of almost too late already. What would you recommend for identifying those stressors before they get to that point? I find
Mm-hmm.
that a bit difficult to just because I always
Mm.
feel like I already passed that point. I'm starting to get to a point where I kind of realize like saying something that I'm not supposed to say, or I'm yelling, or I know some of the emotions that might be building up that will get me to that
Mm-hmm.
point. I'm starting to recognize those a little bit. But is there a better way to kind of identify when those things are bubbling up like that?
Yeah, I think it's very personal. I mean, I can speak for myself. For me, it feels like I am rushing and there is not enough time. This rushing
Mm.
sensation is as if like a train is running and I'm running after that freight train and I just cannot get into the train. And for me, I recognize that when I'm doing too many things, I'm torn. I have too many things to do, and my brain cannot focus on anything. I'm restless. That's a
Mm-hmm.
sign that I am already in that threshold. So instead of saying,
Yeah.
okay, let me put one more load of laundry, let me finish this email, let me do this. What I do now, which I didn't do before, I would always say, let me finish this one more task, this one more, and then I'll relax. Now I take a break right away when I have that sensation, that rushing, running, restlessness. I stop. I'm like, oh, whoa, Anna, go do something, drink water. I usually go outside. For me, the nature is huge. And I don't listen to
Mm-hmm.
anything, podcast or music. I just go for a walk, maybe 30 minutes or weather permitting. I usually go outside. That helps me. And then when I come back, it's like a whole different reality. I'm not rushed anymore. Maybe I need to eat also. Not eating, not drinking, not getting enough sleep. These are all, as I call the vitality domain. You need to take care of that because that can create physiological stress. If you don't eat well, don't eat enough. If you ate, let's say, granola bar in the morning and you worked, you didn't have lunch, then you come home in the evening. Well, guess what? That's not healthy. Of course, you are like gonna yell or be annoyed. Everything is gonna impact you. So I think taking care of these important things, the sleep, the hydration, the nutrition, getting fresh air every day, and not being in an office environment and being in a train, a lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of artificial lights, like that makes me crazy personally. So I usually take a break. I recognize those signs and take a break and do what I have to do. Feed myself, drink something. Sometimes I lie down. Sometimes I meditate and do yoga together, that kind of stuff. That is completely not what my brain tells me to do. That's
Yeah.
what I
I
recognize
co-
in my body.
yeah, I completely agree with that. The rushing thing is something I could definitely identify with because, especially in the morning when you're trying to get everybody out the door, to, get them to school and catch a train. I think that's where I like saw a meme the other day. It was like 4 pictures of like a dad talking to his son. It's like 8 o'clock, put on your shoes. 8:01, put on your shoes. But he's got like an angrier face. And like 8:02, he's like screaming, like, we need to go. We're 2 minutes later than we need to. So like I could definitely identify with that. So the rushing thing is definitely a good way to identify where it's building up and starting to lose control a little bit.
Yes. And plus, everything starts to annoy you. For me, that's
Mm-hmm.
also another sign. Everything annoys me, including my daughter's sweet voice. Even my favorite music. When everything starts to annoy me, I know I need to do something about my stress level. It's not the people around me. It has nothing to do with the outside world. It's me. That's also another sign for me.
Yeah.
I take a break, I retrieve, and I do something for myself very quickly. And usually it reorients me. I can write in a journal. It depends how much stress I have and what am I going through in that period of my life. Usually there is also
I
body
feel like some
symptoms. Yes.
I feel like some people might feel like that's hard to do in my opinion, because like to just get away from the situation, you're gonna lose your cool, and just to like maybe say to your spouse, look, I need 10 minutes to just decompress and just take a walk or something. I think a lot of people might feel like you're abandoning your family, or like you're just
Mm.
leaving. That's something that I know I would feel as well. I know nowadays I know that that's not true. That you're not doing
Mm-hmm.
that. You're actually doing the right thing. But I feel like that could be an issue for a lot of people. I think even maybe the staff will say that to them, like, "Well, you're leaving now. Like, you can't deal with this," or something like that.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
I
maybe
think that could be a
have
big issue. But
I agree. Maybe have an agreement ahead of time that this is not about them, not abandoning. Have it a name. Maybe I need to take a break, or come up with a name for it if taking a break is not good, because you're also modeling for your children that healthy way of handling things. And of course there are some situations you can't
right,
leave your children or your family, and that's fine. That's part of life. But have an agreement with your wife and your children. You say, you know what, sometimes daddy needs to take a break, and I will come back. Have an agreement ahead of time and do it and come back in a different way. That's self-awareness, when you recognize that you're getting triggered, you're getting annoyed, you're about to do or say something, and you're removing yourself from the situation. And just that part that you remove yourself is huge. I received a phone call. It was late in the day, just the other day, end of the work day. I received a phone call. I should have never answered that phone call. It was very unpleasant. The person was argumentative, accusatory. It was an official phone call from the Child Protective Services. I deal with them. And I'm saying to myself,
mm-hmm.
Why did I answer this phone call? Like, I had a fantastic day. That ruined my day. And she had emailed me and she wanted my response right away. So I came home. Again, it was late evening. I said, you know what? I'm not going to respond, because if I respond to her email now, I am not going to be a kind, my normal self. So I didn't respond to her email. And, I vented to my husband, I vented to my friend about the event. I walked in the neighborhood. The next day, I didn't respond to the email right away. Only after 2 p.m., I was ready and kind enough to craft a very delicate response without fighting, meanness, aggressiveness, nothing of that nature. And it was a game changer. It changed the entire tone of the conversation between me and her and me, and all of that. But imagine if I came home after that phone call and sat down in an angry way and just responded to her. It would have been a complete disaster. So taking that break
yeah,
sometimes is really good.
yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's a lot of self control. It takes a lot of self control to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do that. Sometimes you want to just tell people off. That's simply the
Yes.
case. Somebody treats you poorly, you want to just go right back at them. But having that self control is tough.
Yes, absolutely. Do you feel a sense of being undermined when your wife handles things better and faster, more efficiently, like she's more patient and all of that? Does that create any sort of anxiety in you or insecurity perhaps when you watch her? Do you feel like you can't measure up? Like what does show up for you?
Yeah. So I would say I don't measure up. She's just great at handling the kids and like handling stress at the same time and like any situation. I don't think I've ever heard her yell at the kids in the 4 years that my son has been here, and my daughter, like the tutor. She's just very patient, very empathetic, and just handles it well. So I do feel like sometimes I'm not capable of doing that, or I do feel like I'm not as good a father that I could be because I can't get to that point sometimes. It's tough for me. Um, yeah, so that would be the biggest thing there. But she just I have like noticed I'm a very stubborn person as well. She's changed that in me a lot from when we first started dating to now. I still have my moments, but it's like night and day compared to what it is. She's definitely made me a much better person in general. But in terms of parenting, this is brand new. So she just kind of like she just kind of like seems like she knows what she's doing. And, like she has like the hit like the secret book that has like the formulas of everything that you need to say and do and like how to be patient. And I just can't like get to that point completely. I still lose my cool sometimes. Like yell. And I see it in my son sometimes now. He's my daughter does something that she's not supposed to do. He'll like reprimand her in the way that I do it. And that's what makes me feel awful because he'll like yell at her. I'm like, Brandon, you can't yell. And I'll be like, oh wait, I yell. That's not fitting like he doesn't know the difference because I do it. He's just, mimicking me.
So let me ask you this. Does your wife expect from you to act and be like her? Or that's your own inner perfectionistic standard that you see her and you want to measure up? And of course, everybody parents differently. Does she expect it from you or you created that for yourself?
No, she does not. I like I said earlier, I'm a very I used to be very big into the perfectionism and trying to get everything right typically. So that's definitely my doing. Like I completely understand that I'm trying to like live up to those standards on my own. She like when I try to like do my parenting style, she stands back, lets me handle it, and then we'll have a discussion about like what happened afterwards, and it's very calm and like she tries to understand where I'm coming from. So she's very, very, like I said, very on top of it. It's like I can't even explain it. So it's definitely me trying to like live up to the situation.
Yeah. Well, you have to create your own standards for yourself. She definitely put the mark very high, even for me. I'm not that patient. I definitely lose my cool. I yell at times. Like I'm not very empathetic. I could be mean and unkind. Definitely, there are people who are like that, but don't let that be your standard. You need to create, I think, a standard for yourself. Like my daughter one day said to me, I'm not competing with those kids, mommy. I'm competing against myself. It was such an insightful thing for a kid to say. I think because when you look up, you look at her and you want to be like her, then it creates anxiety. You can't imitate and mimic what she has. It maybe comes naturally to her. And it's wonderful that your children have that. But that takes the focus from your own growth. I think you need to set up markers for your own growth and meet those markers one step at a time and appreciate your growth. Give yourself credit for the hard work that you're doing instead of measuring up against someone else's perfect picture. Let's say someone is an Olympic swimmer and you're just a beginner. Well, that's like not even, you can't compare yourself to the Olympic swimmer. You'll feel constantly low self-esteem, insecure. And when you feel anxious and insecure, you're not going to improve yourself. But if you be aspired by that and inspired by that, be mentored or coached by that person if possible, but set a standard for yourself. I think that would be my recommendation, and what would it look like for you as a person? How do you see this journey for yourself? Let's say you were just a swimmer and you are creating these levels for yourself. What would be helpful for you? I know men love metrics and measurements. I want you to create your own goals and sort of metrics and give yourself time and look back and evaluate and measure and take inventory and celebrate and give yourself credit. That's what I would love for you to do. Forget what she's doing. Don't even look at her yard. Let her do her own thing. Don't get hijacked by the Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
And before that, I would love to ask you, what are your strengths as a parent? What are your strengths? If you can think of a few 5 to 10 strengths right now, if I challenge you, what would those be?
That's really tough. Probably my organization skills as one. I'm very on point with having stuff like flow into a routine and outdoor a specific time. Everything's like set up. We're doing this weekend. We're need to take care of. It's a tough question.
Yes, it is a tough question, but I really want you to challenge yourself and answer that. If not now, it would be good to get a few more out of you, because I really want you to base your practice, building your goals based on your strengths. And unless you know what those strengths are and which ones are you going to use, then you're not so sure. You know what I mean? What are you working towards? I think that's what I would love for you to do.
Yeah, I will definitely work on that. I don't know that I can do it right now because I definitely need some time to think on that. But yeah, that's a great question. A great way to go about it. To just focus on your strengths and work from there.
Because we always, I'm hearing you, and you are also just like the rest of us. You focus on the lack, on the shortcomings, on the insecurities, what you're not good at, and the brain just loves this stuff. But I come from a strength-based place. I want you to know, what are you good at and how can you use that in your parenting, as opposed to focusing on, oh my gosh, I'm not even a good swimmer. I'm never going to be a good swimmer. Well, maybe you're a great pitcher. You play baseball really well. Why are you even in the swimming game? That's where I want to encourage you to think about your strengths, write them down, definitely, maybe 5 to 10 for sure. And I'm going to follow up with you, just like I do with my clients. I give them homework, and I want you to come up with a goal in terms of not yelling or parenting peacefully, whatever you want to call it. Let's say this week I'm going to work on removing myself from the annoying situations. Or this week I'm going to work on recognizing my triggers. This week I'm going to write down my triggers, figure out what really triggers me. Or this week I'm going to work on identifying my stressors. Or this week I'm going to work on making an agreement with my wife and my children and say, you know what, I just need a break, 10-minute break. I'll be right back, guys. Whatever your concrete step is, I think I want you to practice that and work with that. And maybe take inventory again, because I want you to chart your progress, because we often don't see the little steps that create change we take it for granted and we just skip and move forward. And then we focus on the other negative lack or insecurity. That's what I would love for you to consider. I want to know your
Yeah,
thoughts.
definitely. Yeah, no, I like that. That's a great idea. I think that's focusing on strengths is a good way to do it because, like you said, everybody focuses on the stuff they you feel like they're not doing well, and that's just gonna keep feeding the brain like the negative thoughts and like, oh, I'm not living up to this or that. But like nobody really thinks to do that. It's like like I'm like stumped, I can't even like list the people. I don't maybe like very playful with the kids, I can make them laugh, like stuff like that. But it's definitely something that everybody should consider doing. Just sit down, write down, figure out what your strengths are, and then focus your goals, tailor your goals, and measure each goal through those strengths and try to like see what you can do each week or every day just a little bit better. That's a great idea. I
Yeah,
like that.
because as we're speaking, you are recognizing the strengths in your wife. Clearly, it's so easy to
Yeah.
see in another human being what they're doing good, what they're great at. You see all those good qualities in her. But you see, when I ask you a question, what are your strengths? You're like, wow, I have to think about this. You see? But it's so easy for us. Yeah.
You could like ask a good idea too would probably be to ask your spouse like, what do you think my strengths are as a parent? Because you could just tell them, sometimes I feel like I'm failing or I'm not doing as good as I can do. I don't want to be yelling. I don't want to be doing certain things. But what do you think some of my strengths? You can get help too. I think you should sit down probably and do it yourself first, and then
Yes.
and then maybe just go and try to find more feedback and try to see what if some of those things match up. Are you saying the same thing?
Yes, absolutely. I give that homework to my clients. When a couple comes into my office, I end every session with that. After they complain and fight in my office, usually it's not, they're not agreeable when they're there. And in the end, I always say, look into her eyes, Michael, or look into his eyes, Vanessa, and mention 5 things that you admire in him or her. They both have to do it, that you admire in them as a father, as a mother. And usually people have a hard time with that coming up on the spot because you have to be vulnerable also. But, we focus on the lack and the insecurity so much. We want our child to be different, our partner to be different. If only you could do it this way, if only you did this, as opposed to focusing on the positive. What are their strengths? And let's base it's so much better. The same mentality goes for our children. We have to apply this for our children as well. And you ask your children too. You can say, what do you think daddy is good at? Right? You use the language that they understand instead of saying, what are my strengths, kids? Do you know?
Yeah.
You can get the answer from them. Or what do you like that I do? Like, how do you like to spend time with me? How do you know that daddy loves you? What is it that you like to do with daddy? Right? It could be a variation of those questions that your children will give you feedback, and it will boost your self-confidence. Believe me, we can never hear enough of this kind of feedback. Ask your wife, do it yourself, and ask your children, and they see you under a more positive light, and they give you so much credit than probably you do.
Yeah, I can think that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So, Patrick, do you have any questions for me? Any comments as we wrap up our call?
No, this was very, very fun. A great time. I appreciate that strengths part is going to be fun to do. I think it's going to be tough to do for myself, but it'll be definitely fun to like ask the kids and the wife what my strengths are as a father. And I think that'll be a big time help into like taking the next steps to being a better parent.
And you are doing the on-air coaching call. You know what? You are
right.
already you are already an amazing, awesome parent, at least in my eyes. So keep up the good work. Don't be too self-critical. Don't create standards for yourself that are your own standards. Don't measure up to the Olympic people, Olympic swimmers, and don't look elsewhere for that. That creates anxiety, I think, at least for me too.
Yeah.
So set up your own
Absolutely.
standards, right? If we look at other people, I'm like, oh my gosh, they have this, they have that, and I'm not even doing this. So don't compare yourself to others and adopt their standards for your own game. Create your own and measure up to your own standards. And I'm sure you already do. You're an amazing dad that you're here, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, speaking about parenting with me for the sake of the podcast. It's just bravo. I applaud to that. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.